Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Trust is the foundation of our professional relationships. Relationships with stakeholders, which we must start to build in a virtual environment. Pioneered by Meister, Green, and Galford, the format for establishing trust-based relationships is a simple equation. T equals C plus R plus I, all over the denominator, S. Let's look at each of these components in turn. The first component is credibility and speaks to your level of competence, having relevant credentials and the quality of instilling confidence and belief. The second component is reliability. Where credibility had a lot to do with words and ideas, reliability deals with actions. Reliability means we can trust the person to do what they said they would do. They have a good track record and they are consistent. We're confident we understand what they mean. Both credibility and reliability are largely rational forms of trustworthiness because they're objective and we can easily find ways to measure and score people's credibility and reliability. The other two components are quite different. Intimacy. Intimacy means feeling emotional security in dealing with us. A high score of intimacy means we feel safe sharing information with that person. There is confidence that that person will handle that information respectfully and appropriately. Because there is risk for both parties, we expect a high degree of emotional intelligence and empathy. So far, we've addressed the three terms that impact the denominator, all of which raises the trustworthiness score. Now we look at the score in the denominator, self-orientation. Self-orientation goes the other way. A high level of self-orientation creates a low level of trustworthiness, regardless of how good the person is, or how good his C, R, and I is. A sign of high self-orientation is selfishness, a sense that the person is in it for themselves and not for others. A tendency to see all things being about ourselves rather than about the other person. People with a high self-orientation score are always worried. Will I close the deal? Will they believe me? Will this advance my career? Will I say something stupid? What if they ask me a tough question? The simplest way to describe self-orientation is evaluating how much a person cares and shows awareness and interest in other people. A low self-orientation comes across as caring about us. At least they care enough to pay attention to us, rather than being obsessed about how everything affects them. And it shows up in very important but subtle ways. For example, when a consultant turns up at a client meeting, does that person take the lead and dive into the stated agenda? Or does that person pause and say, I want to make sure that this is still the agenda that you want to discuss? And is this still the best use of time for you? You can see that a very low self-orientated person is concerned about the needs of others and consistently shows up that way. The trust equation is a model, and its main purpose is to get us thinking about trust and trustworthiness. Breaking trustworthiness into 4 components makes it a lot more practical than dealing with one large concept. Ask yourself, where do your strengths and weaknesses lie? Because when it comes to trustworthiness, you'll get more benefit from addressing your weaknesses than addressing your strengths. We perceive someone who is consistent across all 4 components to be balanced and whole, complete and in sync. By contrast, someone who is imbalanced across all 4 components is seen as lacking in coherence, consistency, balance, and at odds with what we look for in someone to trust.